All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi Jane, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hiya, how are you?
Oh, you can hear us, can you? Lovely. Hello. Yes, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. First time it's worked, first time in a long time.
Hey, lovely.
Good news. So, is it just yourself, Jane, or is there a couple of you?
There's me and my colleague Karen here.
Hi Karen. Morning, you okay?
Mm.
Fab.
Yeah, no, we're just having a very
Oh no, don't worry, I just made myself a cup of tea before I came on. I was like, oh, it's countdown to Christmas on, I need all the caffeine going.
Absolutely, because we're a charity. We've had a lot of toys donated to us this Christmas, so we've spent all morning sorting toys. So we're sitting in rather a lot of clutter at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
Amy, should we be able to see you? Because it seems we've got listen only mode on.
No, you won't be able to see me. You'll be able to see my screen in a second.
Got it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I'm home based, so I think it would be a shock if you saw my actual face in the morning. Don't tend to put on a face, and my hair's on top of my head most of the time. No, so,
Look, where else would you keep it?
well, you know what I mean. But yeah, it's definitely not office attire when I'm working from home. No, so fab. So you can see the City and Guilds Learning Assistant screen, can you?
Yes, we can.
Great. So just a kind of a bit of a run through, just to kind of reconfirm the plan. So we've got super user, so the admin setting up of your platform now. And then a bit of a half-hour break for you to either have a play or have a coffee or whatever it is you fancy doing. 11:30, bring the assessors on and the IQAs and do a bit of assessor IQA training. I've put it in for an hour and a half. It may not take that long, but the time's there for you to use anyway. And then what I'll do after that is you've got my contact details. So then for the rest of the day, if you're having a bit of a play on the system, if you've got any questions that you think of, I'm then on hand for the rest of the day to be able to answer them if you just pick up the phone.
Lovely.
Okay. Right. So I will give you a little bit of my background first so that you kind of know that I'm not talking a complete load of waffle. Years ago, I was an assessor in IQA in hospitality and management, and then came into City and Guilds as the quality coach. So I was in charge of looking after all the quality departments and upskilling them on products and services and endpoint assessment and everything else in between. Before about 7-8 months ago, I got my promotion into this role. So I can kind of come from the quality angle, from actually being in there doing it, and also knowing the digital products. So hopefully that will support a little bit. Now, with your system, I have got your. Have you ever logged into your platform?
No.
Right, okay. So I will send you, for that half an hour break, I will send you your URL. So the bit that you put in the www bit, because where, if you can see on mine, it says /demo Amy. Yours will have a different / for your personal platform. Now with that, it is not, you can't put it in Google because it needs to be secure, because obviously it's got people's personal details in. So I'll send you that link. When you set up your learners or your assessors, IQAs, etc., you can send them the login details so they can just click on the link and save it to their favourites. That would be the best way to do it. And then if you've sent your logo into Glasgow, then rather than that City and Guilds, it will have your logo and your centre name showing there. This is just because it's my demonstration site.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's all been sent off.
Yep, so that should load up. If there's any problems, then catch up with me on the start of the next session or give me a ring in that half an hour. So what I'll get you to do, and I'll remind you at the end, is to log on to your system, put in your system admin login details, which I'll send you, and then there'll just be a license signature. So you just put in your name, your email, and your position, and then agree to the T's and C's. It's all stuff that would have been explained to you before, and you can access your license and system agreement in the future, which I'll show you in a second. But that's the first thing you need to do, otherwise you won't be able to get your staff on. Okay, so I will log into mine, and I've asked them to put on the qual that you have got so that we can go from scratch. And then you can see it exactly step by step of what you'll have to do. So this is my dashboard. It's got some learners and some team members already enrolled, and this is access but your different logins. It's up to you. You will have a welcome title, and everyone, whether it be learners, assessors, EV, EQAs, IQAs, etc., will all have a welcome panel, but you can personalize that. So I'll come into that in a second. Down on the right hand side is going to be your system summary. So it's like a written version of these donut charts. So you can see your team members, etc. And then down there is digital support. So if you can't remember how to do something, if you need courses added, if you need someone deleting or whatever it is, then they're the people to contact. There's 6 ladies up in Glasgow, and they no learning assistant at the back of the hand. They're there from 8 till 5, Monday to Friday, except over Christmas, and they will be, they're just gurus of the system. Only because I'm out on the road quite a lot, so I can't always get to the phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these 3 tabs here, dashboard, license and resources, and then I'm going to work down the left hand side, all these tabs. Now it records this to learners, to view learners and view team members as a bit of a quick link to that. I think eventually what will happen is potentially where it says team members down the side, I think one day in development that will go, and then you'll just click into it from the home screen anyway. But if we do development like that, we'll always update you on what's changed. Your license, like I say, once you've signed it, and then in your resources, you've got YouTube resources here. Now, if you click on this, us sort of our roles as a digital solution manager or DSM, a load of sort of how-to videos. So you can go into there and just view how to, you know, if you this one here, adding team members, course building, customizing your homepage and reporting. So you've got all of them to hand, as well as obviously.
Once we get the official go-ahead from City and Guilds via email, then we will have another one to add on there straight away.
Yeah, that's fine. So just have email that Glasgow team, and they will be able to add it on for you within. It doesn't take them very long. Okay, so these are all the courses that you've currently asked for will all be on here. Level 3 award in education and training. A while ago, so I can kind of hopefully relate some of the things I did with this. So I've asked them to put that on. Now, when you want to customize or personalize the courses, if you click on that little edit, can you see the pen and paper that I'm hovering over? If you click into there, it will bring you into that course. We've built in all these properties, so you don't need to do anything with that. But then you can go into what's called Course Builder. Can you see that tab?
Yeah.
Now this is where it will bring up your units. So 301, 302, 305. They're all built in. Now you can personalise your courses a little bit more. You may not need to necessarily in this course. I think it kind of, from what I remember, it kind of is black and white, isn't it? You kind of know what you've got to achieve. But if you wanted, for example, to do a review unit or build in a new unit, then you can actually build in another one under here. So your 301s and stuff, when you do these quals, do you is it in a short time frame or do you spread it out?
We usually deliver it over 15 weeks, so learners come to us once a week.
Yeah.
So however many hours, so yeah. Oh, 301 is 8
Sorry,
weeks.
no, just it as a whole. Sorry, we just call it internally 301. Sorry. I don't know why we only use the knowledge bit, but the whole program, yeah. So it's over 15 weeks.
Yeah.
And
301 is 8 weeks worth of that.
sorry.
301 is delivered over 8 weeks, but the whole qualification is over 15.
Right. Okay. So, if you want to, I mean, please refresh my memory a little bit. Is this the one with you've got to do a micro teach? Is that still applicable?
Yes, that's right. That's
302.
that's 305, isn't it? 302 is the micro teach.
Yeah, so it's coming back to me. So within there, if you wanted to build in a new unit, for example, that was micro teach, that kind of got people to, to almost support them through the process of building that. Because I can remember when someone said to me the first time, right, you got to stand up and do a micro teach. I had complete panic. I was like, whoa, I just do one-on-one. Like, I can sit down and talk to someone for days, but standing up. So you could add in a new unit that's, this is your I could never say this word, the preparation activities. This could be sort of like then your plan. You could build that as its own unit as well. It's just personalising it how you want it. But how you would do that is you go add a new unit from scratch. And this may not be something that you'd use for quite a long time or even at all. But you can build it as if it was as, it might be micro teach, and then in here you might decide to call it planning unit, and then in here you might decide to put in your plan. I don't know, your attendee
Delivery.
Attendees. You've got to have a minimum of like 8 or something, haven't you? And then your evaluation and feedback. So you may want it just to be like an additional unit to support that that process. But you can build that and then it sits there as a new unit. So down here now you've got your micro teach as a bit more drilled down detail.
Okay.
You can also drill down even more if you've got resources or documentation that you like to use. We'll stick with 302, seems to be the theme. And I'll click on the little edit button again. And it opens up that unit and all of the outcomes and criteria within there. So we've built that in and you'll see that on the portfolios as well. But in here, understand inclusive teaching and learning approaches in education, you may say, actually, we've got a really good resource that we use internally. It might be a document or something that you want to make sure that every learner on the course has. So in here, you might go documents and you might upload it as a document in here. So when they go into the portfolio and click on 302.1, they've got that resource document that you've uploaded sitting next to that piece of criteria. Okay.
So this is about uploading then the handouts and that they would be given and that they can then refer to.
Perfect, because all the outcomes and criteria are all built in, which is fine, then they can see what they've got to do, which is helpful. But then, when as tutors, when you give them additional handouts and resources, rather than printing them out and sending it or emailing it, it's built in next to here. And then if it changes, you just have to delete it, add in another one, and it does it all. So it's the standardization is then improved because if there is any amendments, it's gone out to everyone.
Okay, so we can see what criteria that everybody is then assessing and IQAing. So,
yes.
Sorry, question?
Amy, I was going to just say, I've used an assistant before, but not done the super user training.
Yeah.
But we use this to build like a candidate induction unit. So if stuff that we needed them to do to test their standard of English, for example, we would build a unit for that.
Yeah, so
then all
when I just built the Micro Teach one, that's where you build that unit.
Yeah.
So you can do your initial assessment.
Yeah.
And that,
So they've got to do that, and we used to make that. They had to do that before they started, basically.
Okay.
So that worked really well, and it's all up there as part of their course.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So whereas in this one, where it's describe. So this is a bit of either like a discussion or written questions. If you wanted them to do these three, describe, compare, and explain. If you wanted them as them to do them as written questions, you could actually go in to the outcome, and where it says forms there, you can then go recording forms and add it from scratch. And then you can build in them 3 questions into here. So when they type it in, it's like a writable PDF. They type it all in and it maps over to that. So this might be 302.1. And then you might go add a field. So it'd be a text box. But in the title it'd be describe. I can't remember what the question was.
Describe features of inclusive teaching.
Okay. So then that would go, and then as the learner open there, and then when they press save, it maps straight over to that piece of criteria. So in there now we've got this form that sits there. So when they've completed that, it maps over to this bit. So you can build your, like I'd have built my knowledge questions and stuff into recording forms. Any questions?
Yeah, go on. So I've got Emma here with us as well, who is the tutor and assessor of this actual qualification. So she's got all
my interest. You've got my interest. I have a quick question. At the moment, we use the task sheets that are allocated by City and Guilds when we're setting this. So are they pre-made into this, or would we need to be then designing sort of like those forms and those information?
Yeah.
How does this alongside they're predetermined, aren't they? The City and Guilds.
Yeah.
So we can attach the task sheets as a document, or you can, or you'd have to build it in like as a form, but there's no way that we can copy it over because of how it's written or something. It's something about PDF to Word or that kind of, digital language that I'm not quite thoroughly in the know of. Something about the coding and that it can't just copy across, but you can build it in.
Okay, so we can, like you say, we can put it as a PDF and put it in under a document.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these recording forms, Amy, are these quite new? Because I've not seen these. We've always just loaded PDFs across. Attached them.
It's been about 6 to 12 months that you've been able to do this. Okay. So yeah,
you do change things all the time.
It's relatively new, but obviously if you've not, maybe if it's not been highlighted to you that it's available, you may not have come across or used it.
Obviously, if the system's already, if the units are
but
set up,
if you put your forms in and things, then if people have got phones and tablets, then they can just click on it and like text it into that box as well.
Right.
So they don't necessarily need their laptop for it.
Yeah, so it's better to do it as recording forms than.
Yeah. Well, personally, I think so. But it depends on how you deliver it. I mean, when I did mine, they for some reason they wouldn't allow me to just answer describe features of. And this is obviously before I was assessing, so didn't understand. I was like, well, why can't I just answer that? Because I find that easier to answer it question by question. They made me do like a big essay and try and cover it all off in an essay. And I found that really difficult. Obviously now, once I was a qualified assessor and knew what I was looking at, if I wanted to just describe the features of inclusive teaching. I could have done that. So that's where the forms especially come into that bit of sort of helpfulness.
Yeah.
Any questions on personalising your course?
No, I don't think so. But just looking at this, you've got, so we've looked at documents tab at the right hand side.
This is just where we've built in sort of your element number and the actual title. So that's where we've built what it is. If I go back to the unit listing, in the properties bit there, it's where we've put in you don't stuff. If you get stuck again, Glasgow or myself, we can help you do that. So the next tab down is companies. Now, they're just showing you how to do this. So companies is you'd always first create your own company, the name of your yourselves and what your assessors are going to be working under. So for this one, I'm going to do Amy 301 is going to be my company name, and that's the username. You don't have to remember the username and password. It's just it will automatically ask you for one. But then I'd put in sort of your email address and a telephone number, and then save it. So that's as easy as it is. Put as much or a little information in, bearing in mind that it is really good for your reporting. So you create your own, and then it's going to be your assessors, isn't it? So their managers, you might put in as their company. So if you think sort of like learners in like work-based, so what you'd have is your assessors would sit under one company, and then your learner, say, I don't know, Joe Bloggs is working for WH Smith as an example, you'd set that WH Smith up as a company. But because yours are, I'm guessing it's your internal team that would be doing the 301?
I'm a little bit lost here. So we create our company. So our organisation we all work for is FSN.
Yep.
We've then got various people that, I mean, we all multitask because we're a charity, so nobody has just got one job here.
Yep.
We are all internal assessors. There's nobody external that we use.
Yeah. And then
so they would all sit under FSN.
Okay, so maybe let's not use your assessing qual. So the people that you will be assessing, not your assessors, but your
our learners,
yeah. Who would they be working for?
Then not, well, they would be, our learners tend to then volunteer for our charity.
Okay, so would they have a direct line manager?
It would be their tutor or a tutor. So all our assessors are tutors.
Yeah.
So they would always sit under. So for example, if I've got Emma sat here and she is delivering the award in education and training, say she's got 9 learners that are doing the qualification. Once they've then completed that, she would then be their volunteer coordinator. So she will still manage them even though she's not teaching them and assessing them anymore.
Right, okay. Oh, so maybe then in that case, just leave all your learners under the same company. It won't make
they're not.
So if we'll make it a bit easier, then let's make it FSN there. So leave them all. So you may not need that reporting ability. We'll just leave it as FSN right now.
Level 3 with us, for example. Yeah. We would then load them up, say as mohair, as they work somewhere different, but they're qualified with us. Is that how you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So if someone externally came, say I came to you and was like, right, I want to come and do my course and my employer is City and Guilds, you would load City and Guilds as as their company.
Right.
So you just set it up in here, and this will probably make sense once we go on to the next bit. So you create your company, which is quite straightforward. And then you go into your team members. Now, this is where you need to set up your assessors and IQAs. Being updated, it's not always going to look this ugly, or I think it looks ugly. So you create new staff. Now, if someone is an assessor and an IQA, they can have the same login for both. So I would do title, I'd do assessor tutor for, you know, your tutors. And they work for FSN.
Right.
Password, I'll just leave as password because they can change it. Pop in their email. Phone number, and then they can be an assessor and an IQA as well. You just obviously they wouldn't assess an IQA the same person.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the WBR?
So I'll leave it just as assessor for this one, and then you just go create. And then you choose the course you wanted them to. You can have as many of these as you update, and that's your tutor now created. And then you can email login details from there. Or you can come back in and do that once you're ready for them to have email their login if you're not straight away. So I'll just do that way. So create new staff. Again, they work for FSN. And the password. And then they're going to be an IQA. For the same course. Done. Any questions on that?
Do that, yeah.
Fab. So that's, you've linked your team member learners on this left hand side, and we're going to give them a learner. So again, same process. Mrs. Assessor Learner. If you now, when you're creating your first learners for your team, you've got that option of test candidate. So you can press yes, and that won't take a learner off your license. It will just give them a dummy learner to use. So they can have a play and, you know, submit some work and log in and have a bit of a test with the system. Now with that, just use a really random name. So do like your Donald Ducks or your Daffy Ducks or something, just so there's no chance of it being a learner's name. Yeah. So then everything that's obviously got a star is mandatory, but you can put in as much or a little as you like around that. So this is where you would then give that to that learner to a company as well. So if they're your internal team, or they're going to continue volunteering with you and things, and it's just, and they're always going to be part of you, then keep it as FSN. But like you say, if someone external comes in, like me from City and Guilds, then that's where you would have created City and Guilds as a company, and that would tag them to there.
Yeah.
Does that make a bit more sense now?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, we're all full of cold here. We're not at our most intelligent.
Oh, I'm glad it's not just me. I came down with it about 2 days ago, and I'm on the countdown for Christmas.
Absolutely, I've got a bag full of lemon sips today. So.
Dishing them out like drugs. So once you've pressed update, you do continue with enrolment. And it's really important to do that continue with enrolment if you want to allocate them a course straight away. But you don't have to. You can always set up the name and everything and then go in and re-edit to enroll later. You know, if you didn't know if they were, what course they were doing or what assessor they were, you can always park it and then continue it afterwards.
Okay, when you do so continue to enrolment, then this is actually going to stop me having to do the bit on the walled garden where I register my learners.
Well, there is something called LA Connect, which, depending on what size you are and how beneficial it would be, you can always have. But it is a one-off £500 charge, and that will do all your registration certifications. It will set up their exams and register them for that. It will give them all your passwords and stuff. But it doesn't sound like it would be beneficial for the size, maybe.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. So from there, you then go on roll on new course, And again, choose the course that you want them on. Sorry if you can hear some strange noises. My little dog is going mad.
Oh no, I can't.
She doesn't stop. So you won't have to do metrics, which is your on and off the job hours for the award in education and training. So you can untick that. Now, if you were delivering something that you did need to show, so the new standards, then you'd leave that ticked.
Okay, so that's for sort of like apprenticeships and stuff like that. And
would you be doing any of that?
Possibly in the future. We have had contracts with our local college to do childcare apprenticeships, but we've not got contract with them to do that at the moment. But might be something that Karen is looking at developing.
For now, when you enrol your learners, then just untick that box. And just a bit of a side note, if you did come to that, when it's ticked, this bit down here is their overall contracted hours. So if they were on 37 hours a week and they were on programme for 12 months, you'd work out how many hours that is and you'd put it in. So it's normally like 1,775, I think I'm working most of them out at. And that will work out how much is 20% on off the job training for you, and it will tally it up and take it away and everything. But when you come to that, let us know and we can refresh you on that. So then that's your course, and then down here it says assessors and internal verifiers, and then this is where you put your primary assessor in the drop down box and your primary IQA in that box. So now this tutor and this verifier is for that learner. The next important bit is doing the course dates, because this will set up the progression bar to show you how long it's going to be. So let's say March, and then you'd press submit. Now that is your learner set up and created. Again, you can email login details straight from there once it's done.
And that goes straight to the learner?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now on this learner page, if you wanted to look for any learners you've got, when you click on it, it will come up with this. So you can search by any of these fields, or if you just press search learner, it will bring you a list of all of them down here. I'm just going to talk about these bits at the bottom. They are the kind of things that you will either choose to use as a company or not. So it's just letting you know that they're available. So the first one you've got is, now this might be a news event, and it might be Volunteer Day, Christmas Eve, at 10:40 apparently. Let's go 10 o'clock, make it round. And then location, I'll just put London. And then that is a bit about what it is. And then any additional info. And I would like that to go out to all my learners, all the trainers, and I'll save that. It will then refresh. So if you want to attach a document, you might have a poster or social media document to link to that event as well.
Oh, I really like that.
And then on here, there's, when it refreshes, here we are. That is my event. And can't on their home page where your settings tab is, there they have a news and events tab, which I'll show. Then you've got forums. Now I'm I love and I hate them. Difficult, classroom based. Use it really, really well because they get people talking within here. So you've got forums that tutors and learners and
with this tab.
Oh, really?
Yeah, stop us having to take it to all the senior management team meetings.
Oh, there you go. So that might be again something that you would use.
Yeah, no, we'll use those news and events and forums a lot, I think.
Oh, great. Like I say, some of these are a bit, some people look at them and go, we're never going to use that. But it's really good.
They're really good because the qualifications that we deliver, especially this award in education and training, We don't deliver it from our offices. We go out to rural locations, so people come to sort of like community halls, sort of like village halls and things like that.
Right.
And they tend to be very far flung. So getting people engaged in discussions and letting them know effectively about all the things that are going on within our organisation, and sort of like then what they have to do for their event, so they have to plan an event and deliver stuff. So it's going to be perfect. Perfect.
So from there, then the last two, you've got messages. This is like an internal email system, exactly like Outlook would look. You've got your inbox, your messages sent. Again, subjective to use. You may have an internal email system that you want to use, but this is accessible for all learners, assessors, IQAs, and admin staff. A insecure password for people like me, but you might have development on this day. On the 5th of October at 6 p.m, 6 a.m, which was okay. Now the processes tab. This, you can create processes, and it is just like per learner, what task do they need to do and when is it due by. There's a really good YouTube video on this that explains it nicely, but for like colleges, it's a lot like milestones. You know, your 61-day reviews, things like that might be built as a process, and then it shows as the assessor for it as a task, but it's specific to that learner.
Not something that we do currently, but it's certainly been something that we would do should we do the apprenticeships again, because there are reviews and things like that have to go on. And
yeah, it's just so that you know it's there. But like I say, there's a really good YouTube video in that resources on it with a girl that who also does my role. She's just spent, I think, about 6 months with a particular college putting their processes together. So she's done a really good sort of quick win video on it. So then the last two tabs, we've got settings and reportings. So settings is just where you can personalize your learning assistant a little bit more. So you know at the start when I mentioned about that home screen text at the top?
Yes.
So that you can personalize for the learner, the trainer, the EQA, the company, etc. So in here on the trainers tab, I might say that my how you want them to use it, what they need to do, welcome. You can personalize that per person. And then you've also got your declarations built in. So we've got your learner declaration, when they tick it, time and date stamps into the portfolio. Okay. And then the last thing in the settings is your resource library. Now this is where you can really be paperless, prevent safeguarding, learner handbooks, learner guidance, assessor handbooks, anything that is
all our volunteer handbook stuff for all our candidates.
Anything generic that it doesn't matter what program they are on, all them resources can get uploaded into here. So see, this resource library is like a huge bookshelf that only you can see. So everything goes in here. And then you go into the learner side and go, right, out of them resources, add resource, I would like them to see or not see that one. Or I'd actually like them to see that. And then you'd save it. And then in their home screen, all the resources that you have ticked to say from that.
It just means I don't have to spend hours photocopying a load of rubbish.
Oh yeah, you can just delete and edit as you want. So it takes a lot of time off you. So yeah, you'd put it all in there, big list, and then in your learner.
Yeah. So if
I'll do one upload. Learner handbook, for example. Use whichever file you want.
Okay, and then you just drop in from your actual main. Okay. Yeah. I understand.
And then I will go into my learner side and go, right, I want the learners to see the learner handbook. So I will now, but I don't want to see them do infection control because I want them to see the learner handbook displayed on their home screen.
Okay. So is that automatic for every single learner that is on there, or can you?
For this bit, yes. So it's all your generic resources sitting here. Anything learner specific would go in your courses.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Fab.
Yeah.
Last one then is your reporting. Now your reporting when you first built in, but your top of it will be your learners and how many are active, completed, and how many are inactive. So that might be like a break in learning. Down here is overdue submissions. Now, sorry if there's any assessors listen. This is how long it takes for your learner to submit the work, how long it takes for the assessor to mark it and feedback. So this one, obviously, my assessor is not marked anything for over 20 days. So I could then click into that donut and then it will tell me what learner it is so that then you know, like, you can pick it up. You can export that as Excel. And then you've got your learner reports. Well, you've got learner reports, trainer, EQA, and registration. So you've already looked at. It's basically spying on them. So that's that report. Your trainer report is, you know, how many learners they've got, how long they've spent in the system, how active they are, how much they're communicating with their learners. But then your main one is going to be your learner reports here. So now we've done some like sort of example report. One is going to be here. Now to create that, you click on create and put in the report type. So it might be monthly as a template. You can then choose what you want to report on for that learner. So name, the company, who their assessor is, enrollment date, start and end date, how much they've completed, expected progress.
Query on your device, yeah.
On and off the job training, you know, when you come to stand, how much stuff that you can choose to report on. Your filters, that's just how you'd like to order. That will pull off every learner with every. Now, you might just want it for a particular assessor. So just for the tutors. So my tutor for the 301, that's who I want to report on. And I want to order it by name alphabet. I want that to run either every day, every week, or every month. So for my assessor, so they can keep on top of how their learners are going on, you might choose every week. And so every Monday you will get a progress report sent to your email, attached as a PDF or an Excel document, so that then you can prep for the week ahead on that day every week. And that will then show your, you know, if you have new learners come on board, you don't have to add them to it. As long as they fit into these filters, that report will constantly run. So once you've decided what reports you want and when, you will then be able to build them. And then technically, apart from looking at the reports, you will never have to create or build another report ever. Okay.
Yes.
Can you promise that?
Yeah, just don't choose to report on anything else. No, I'm joking. Decided that you wanted to add on a particular piece of information to the report, all you'd do is click on the report name and you just edit it. So in this November one, I might
from month to month, although it will just keep.
Yeah, and obviously you don't have to save them as a template. You can just run them one off. You don't have to set them up to continuously run every time. Ones will sit down here.
I wanted to ask about the sampling plans. Can you have, would they go on this?
That's on the IQA one. We'll do that next.
Wait for it.
Yeah. So I'll give you half hour.
So yeah, it's very hard to think of any questions until we actually start using it.
The buttons. Yeah.
Playing with it.
Totally agree. So I'll give you half an hour now. Do what you like. You don't have to log on and do your system. You can go and have a coffee, whatever it is. But you can. But what I would say is just don't forget, and I'll email you now your hyperlink, so that you can log on and sign that license.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll send that over to you in an email, but you can do that when you're about to use the system anyway.
All right, do we leave this up and running? Will it continue, or do we have to click another link?
I've sent you a second one on that email.
You have, okay.
Just so.
All right, so we'll close this down and.
Yeah, because then I can download this one as your system admin webinar, and then the next one I can download as your assessor one, so you've got two of them.
Absolutely, that makes sense.
All right, so it's the second link on the email I sent this morning.
The second link on the email this morning. Okay, all right, no problem. So we'll be back in a very short while. All right.
No problem. Speak to you soon.
All right then. Thank you. Bye.